to the regular City Council meeting of September 20th, 2016. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Deborah Penrose.
Here.
Councilmember John Mueller.
Here.
Councilmember Marina Frazier.
Here.
Vice Mayor Deborah Ruddock.
Here.
And Mayor Rick Kowalczyk.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. You may notice that we have our new sound system installed, so we're going to be getting used to it up here, and I'm sure you will be too coming up to the dais. I will just point out that our Mayor, Rick Kowalczyk, will be participating this evening from Mexico City. He'll be on mute until he wants to jump in on something. So we will proceed with Mayor's announcements of community activities since we have no proclamations or presentations this evening. So I have two I would like to just bring up, and one is the Village of the Coast Side launch party, which is September 29th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Ocean Colony Clubhouse. I don't know if you're aware about Village of the Coast Side, but it's an organization that's been building for a couple of years now, and the goal is to help everybody age in place in their homes. So it's a wonderful group. I'm going to that. Also, I'd like to mention the Half Moon Bay Surf Club will be holding their 9th annual luau this Saturday at IDES Hall from 6 to 10 p.m. And you can find out more about that at bgccoastside.ejoinme.org/luau. Does anybody else have any activities they'd like to bring forward? No? Councilmember Penrose? Yes, there's Java with Senator Jerry Hill this Friday. Councilmember Muller, can you tell us where that is?
It will be at Granola's on Highway 1.
What time is that?
I believe 9 a.m., yes.
So we have nothing to report out of closed session. We did not have a closed session this evening. And so now I'll introduce City Council reports. Are there council members who would like to discuss activities since the last meeting?
Sure. I went to a luau for the Adult Day Health Care Center that was held at Ocean Colony. It was a wonderful event with lots of hula dancing and great food. And I attended an Office of Emergency Services board meeting in Redwood City.
Great. Councilmember Fraser?
Thank you. For the past week or so, the county sustainability group, their bike and pedestrian committee, has been doing a bike monitoring all around the coast, and I was participating in part of the survey down at Murata Surf and on Main Street in Kelly. They're just looking to see the traffic, and fortunately they were beautiful nights out in Murata Surf, and so it was heavily used both in the evening and the afternoon. So that'll be good data that we'll be getting back that will help us with our grant information, more detail about that. And attended the commute.org meeting where I think last month I talked about, we had saw a presentation at CCAG about the Highway 101 improvements, where the plan is costing just a study at $11 million. They don't know how it's going to be funded, but just continued talking about that. And for anyone who does live on the coast that commutes over that way that wants to give input, there's going to be plenty of public opportunities, and maybe we can include that in the city manager's notes that come out. Also, the ride shuttles, we have one that's going to be starting here on the coast side. They've already started in Brisbane and San Carlos. They have ridership up over 15%, and that's just started in the last month. So it's those shuttles in that last mile where the buses or the trains take off. The shuttles seem to be very successful. So I think we're going to hear more about that, and might be something to look at in the future of including that as well. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilmember Fraser. Councilmember Muller?
Yeah, I think I just remembered, which I should have remembered at 1:30 this morning, but we do have quite a group of pack of coyotes near Main Street now every night, doing a lot of yupping and hollering. So we have to watch our little critters, particularly cats, because these guys are really talking out there all night long. So right near Main Street and right in the back on Johnson Street. So let's all be aware for our friends.
I've heard them as well, and I noticed that every time a fire truck leaves or comes back to the fire station at the end of town, it sets off the coyotes a howling. So it's pretty interesting. They love those sirens. City Manager, do you have any updates for the council this evening?
Thank you. Yes, we've got one update that I'd like to ask our Community Development Director to help with. It's regarding the new library project and a timeline moving forward.
Does that work? Oh, exciting news. So Vice Mayor asked for an update, and I think it's a great timing for tonight as we take on the PLA discussion. But basically, assuming that the PLA is addressed this evening, there are several steps that are very soon to come, including the release of the RFP on October 3rd. We're looking at a November 3rd for bid opening. The award of the construction contract November 15th. That will give us then time through basically after the holidays and through the holiday period to finalize all the contract materials, including bonds and such, and also conduct a pre-construction conference. One thing in the PLA includes a pre-construction conference that's a little more intensive than, and some other materials and everything that wouldn't always come about with every project. So that's something that'll give us time to deal with hopes of then opening up for construction after Christmas and New Year's at January 3rd. And as we said, our intention is for grand opening around July of 2018. A lot of steps in between those last ones.
So now we're going into public forum, and I have several blue cards here. I'd like to start with Norma Avery, followed by Elizabeth Honeyman.
There we go. How about that? Okay. Good evening, and thank you for serving our community. Really appreciate your service. The reason why I am here this evening, and I believe several of my neighbors are around this evening as well, is I reside at 349 Seymour Street. I've been a happy resident of Half Moon Bay for 13 years. And recently, I would say over the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've been hearing a pop, 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 pop sound. At first, I thought it was the hammering at the Cameron's Hotel, but I thought, well, that's not a very skilled hammering sound. So I realized it was a gunshot noise. Didn't say anything for a while, kept looking at the next door application to see if anybody else had noticed it. Thought maybe I was just being a little particularly sensitive to it. But it's been, like I said, consistent, starting, I think, probably a little too early in the morning, lasting most of the day on the weekends, and then running through the evening. I don't like the sound. I don't think that many of my neighbors like the sound, and it's a concerning issue that's recently come about, and so wanted to express my dismay to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Elizabeth Honeyman?
My name is Elizabeth Honeyman, and I reside at 405 Poplar Street, Half Moon Bay. First, I want to thank the City Council for continuing to honor the residents of our city by letting us address them with our local concerns. Some of us are here tonight to represent quite a few residents on the major issue of the shootings in Half Moon Bay. Half Moon Bay is promoted by our Chamber of Commerce, by the thousands of ads and websites paid for by our local merchants, as well as by word-of-mouth advertising of almost 1 million visitors who come here each year now to get away from what the big cities around us are like. Those cities, San Francisco, San Mateo, San Leandro, South San Francisco, and Daly City, where the majority of the people in our section of Northern California live, don't just visit Half Moon Bay. They escape the environment they have to live in. They have a basic human need to flee the horns, the jackhammers, the jets, the fire engines and ambulances wailing, the sounds of industry. They escape their concrete cities of hustle and bustle and loud noises. They flee to the quiet atmosphere of our oceanside country town. They spend a lot of money. Motels, hotels, restaurants, gift shops, fuel stations, coffee shops, campgrounds, grocery stores. Even at the local Feed and Fuel to find a little hokey souvenir to remind them of the peace and happiness they found in Half Moon Bay. Some eventually move here and buy the now expensive homes, like I did 30 years ago, and like the Johnsons down the street and the Moores next door did also. They come for the soothing sounds of the ocean and to experience quiet country living. They come to replenish their minds and heal their souls. They need an alternate in their life to balance it like we all do. We, all of us together in Half Moon Bay, provide that. They in turn happily leave thousands of dollars behind. Those tourist dollars, as well as the accommodation and lodging fees, keep our little Half Moon Bay healthy, as evidenced by our new schools, new library, upgraded coastal trail, as well as finally getting some of the roads fixed. Unfortunately, for several weeks now, we've lost all that. Our peaceful ways are under attack. Like the big cities, New York, New Jersey, Paris, we are subjected to fear from gunshots. Our peaceful Saturdays and Sundays have been destroyed. From first thing in the morning to early evening, 8 to 9 hours straight. All we hear is a continuous attack of gunshots. It's almost like a war zone. I have a neighbor whose 9-year-old son has been taught at school that the first thing you do if you hear gunshots is hide under your desk, and you don't come out until the shots stop and the teacher says it's okay. Saturday morning, this past Saturday morning, around 10 a.m., the shooting started. Our neighbor's boy was playing outside. He screamed and immediately ran into the house. He hid under his bed. His mother tried to explain it was okay, he could come out. Nothing was wrong. But the loud gunshots continued. He would not come out. Sunday it happened again, only now his little 5-year-old brother followed him under the bed, and the mother could do nothing about it. We don't know where the gunshots are coming from, but it's not conducive to Half Moon Bay. It needs to stop. It's frightening the kids and the elderly. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. David Moore?
Good evening, and I'm David Moore from 401 Poplar Street, and I'm addressing the same issue of the firing range weekends and now even during the week. I'll cut it short since you've heard most of the information, but I would request that the council ask staff to investigate what's going on at the rifle range up there, or pistol range. I understand it's on state park property. I know the sheriff has their own rifle pistol range in Cuddy Point, so I don't know how much time they spend up there. I think it might be state park rangers are the only agency using that, even though it might be open to all law enforcement. But I would encourage you to seek out from staff to find out what's going on, because beyond the noise, there's additional issues that will have to be addressed, I would think. The lead containment from a rifle range is a major concern. And being on the side of the slope, the water is going to come down and end up in the ocean, and it's not a good thing. So that's all I have to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Typically, we don't interact with the public on issues of the public forum, but I think maybe the city manager has some information this evening that she can share.
Thank you. Yes, we have been made aware of the situation, and we too thought that the shooting was coming from the shooting range. We've contacted state parks, and in fact, they've confirmed for us that the shooting is not coming from the range, that the last time that they've had shots fired there was last Wednesday. They do not permit the practice over the weekend, so we're needing to find out where that is coming from. It's not coming from the shooting range as far as we know, but we will continue to investigate that. We've gotten several reports from different locations, and it's hard to pinpoint where it's coming from, but we are looking into it, and we'll try to provide additional information as we're able to gather it.
Thank you so much. So we'll keep you posted. Moving on to the consent calendar, do we have a motion to approve and a second?
Yes, I would like to move that we approve the consent calendar items 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and 1E.
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no ordinances and public hearings before us this evening, so we're moving on to item 3, which is resolution and staff reports. Item 3A, project labor agreement for the Half Moon Bay Library.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, Mayor tonight, council members. John Dowdy, Community Development Director. I am very pleased to be here tonight to make this presentation with regard to the proposed project labor agreement for the Half Moon Bay Library. Sorry. Didn't get turned on here. There we go. There we go. So I'll try to touch base on these items and issues related to the project labor agreement, and but I'll try to do this as briefly as possible. Some of this is a bit repetitive from the prior discussion with the council, in which the idea of the PLA was first introduced and the recommendation came to proceed. So basically tonight is a consideration of the project labor agreement, which is provided as part of the resolution of Exhibit A, and you've received that in your packet. The project labor agreements are basically a pre-hire collective bargaining agreement, and this is something, again, that is perfectly, one, legal, and two, is fairly common place in San Mateo County and throughout the Bay Area. In this instance, and every other instance, the PLA applies to a specific construction project and lasts for the duration of that project and then expires out. So this is not an ongoing, continuing situation. From an overview perspective, the city of Half Moon Bay, obviously the county and the San Mateo County JPA have been working toward developing this library. Demolition was recently completed, and the site work is ongoing at this point through next month. And we're very excited by that work. And obviously, the construction of the library project, as we indicated, is intended to, for the part that this project applies to, is set for January of 2017, with an opening in June, July of 2018. So on the 17th of May, the City Council directed staff to proceed with negotiations on a PLA and that was for negotiations to see if we could come to agreement with the Building Trades Council. And again, this project was specifically defined to include only the construction part of this project, not the demolition, which is currently underway. On June 22nd, just as a bit of background, the city circulated a request for pre-qualification of bidders. So this was something that was sort of intertwined to this point. And it's important as we move forward is that we did go ahead and pre-qualify 10 firms to move forward with the project on the release of October 3rd. This is somewhat important because one of the concerns and issues originally and initially in the PLA was, would this be a chilling effect on potential bidders? What we found was that we had 10 proposals came in, 12 proposals, 10 that were pre-qualified. So it did not indicate a chilling effect on the qualified bidder side of this perspective. The city, including staff and legal representatives, have met with the Building Trades Commission, council and their representatives, their legal representatives, and other representatives from the local trades unions over the last several months. On August 23rd, we reached a tentative agreement on that document, which is now attached to, again, the report tonight. The PLA has also been forwarded to the national offices of the Building Trades Council for review and sign-off. So from the perspective, I think we are in agreement on the form and content of the document. There may be some minor changes. There were some just minor issues with the names, the titles associated with the names of individuals. So minor, but for the most part, what you're seeing is what has been negotiated from that point. So from the perspective, there's a legal perspective. This was, again, brought forward to the council in May. It's also included in your staff report that there are absolute requirements that the agreement must do. I won't go through this list, but they're pretty straightforward and very kind of fair labor issues. And then from the perspective of this project labor agreement, this is one of the smaller projects of which project labor agreements have been approved in San Mateo County. But nevertheless, what the objective in part of the PLA and why it's important to us, I think, from the perspective of the city, is that it provides a surety that we will not have labor disruptions on this project over the course of the construction. And that's a big benefit from the PLA. It also sets a very standardized hiring and operational standards on the job site, so there's consistency throughout, not with one contractor being union and union scale or others that aren't, and kind of the things that come around that deal with that. So this keeps a very balanced approach to that, and also from a perspective of pay, fringe benefits, and all of those issues that come on any job site and work environment. Again, this project labor agreement includes just the construction of the library. So there were some key issues that we had to be clear about what were excluded, including some work at Kelly Avenue and Highway 1, adding 2 additional car stacking spaces that were required as Caltrans requirements. We also had an underground utility district that was formed, and so there were some just clarifying issues that needed to be addressed. And obviously, we also had moved forward with the initial contract for demolition and site work, so that was excluded as well. Again, pretty straightforward what the PLA does and what benefits it brings to the work environment. And finally, our recommendation is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the project labor agreement with San Mateo County Building Trades Council and its affiliated local unions for construction work on the Half Moon Bay Library project. Thank you.
Thanks to staff for providing an excellent breakdown of this complicated procedure. I'd like to ask the council, do you have questions you'd like to ask of staff now? I do have a few cards on the item. We'll hear from the public first. Okay, the first speaker is James Ruby Gomez from the Labor Council.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor, and Honorable City Council members, hardworking city staff. I'm proud to be here before you tonight. My name is James Gomez, and I'm here representing the San Mateo County Building and Construction Trade Council. Our council is comprised of 22 local unions with 16,000 highly skilled men and women, many of which are in attendance tonight. I would like to ask them to speak. Ask them to stand in support of the approval and stay standing while I make my comments on behalf of these highly skilled individuals. These individuals either live in Half Moon Bay or represent construction workers that live in Half Moon Bay. These workers are ready, willing, and able to build this state-of-the-art library right the first time, on time, and on budget. This library will be a state-of-the-art library with net zero admissions. Our contractors and our members are excited about the opportunity to work on this project. The city should be applauded for recommending a project labor agreement on this project. These agreements ensure that local contractors and local workers will be hired to perform the work on this fine library. By doing so, it helps sustain our communities because our constructors spend it where they earn it. Thank you for listening to my comments tonight.
Thank you. Next speaker is Bridget O'Farrell.
Good evening. My name is Bridget O'Farrell. I live in Moss Beach, and I'm a member of the National Writers Union, UAW Local 1981. I'd like to thank the staff for their hard work on this project labor agreement, and I'd like to encourage the council to approve and move forward with the PLA. I think a PLA will lead to a construction site that is both safe and fair, and it will lead to a building that is of the highest quality and that will be done on time and on budget. And it will engage our entire coastside community in the process. I encourage your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. The next speaker and last speaker is Carol Joyce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Carol Joyce. I live at 75 Guerrero Street. I'm a candidate for City Council and a supporter of the library. I, too, appreciate the efforts of all parties to negotiate the project labor agreement, and I ask you to adopt the resolution authorizing the project labor agreement so that we can meet our goal of building the new library in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the speaker cards I have, so bringing it back to the council for any questions you might have or comments.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone in attendance and all of our hardworking trades personnel and all the supporters of this library over the years. And today I had a number of foreign visitors pass through my farm this morning on Highway 1 from Denmark and from Germany. It was quite interesting. The world people are traveling. But the last one this afternoon was from Australia, visiting his daughter here in El Granada. And that whole family visited the temporary library, and I mentioned to them what we were going through this evening, and they're very involved in the lead programs in Australia, the family, and they were thrilled to death that we're building a new library, but they were also very impressed that the temporary library was full. And it really made me feel good that people are really aware of what we're all trying to do in this community, so thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Fraser?
Thank you. And thanks to everyone's hard work on this. I know there was a lot of legal ease in this. This was something that we were looking forward to. I think we all believe in a well-built, quality building built by a skilled labor force, and it's gratifying to see so many of you who live here on the coast that are here too. What's particularly special to me in this is not only the skilled labor force and all the safety parameters that go with that, but the apprentice program that the union offers in many of the different trades. I think that's important. It's going to be a great opportunity for many young people here on the coast, so I want to thank you for that.
Councilmember Penrose? Nothing? Mayor Kowalczyk, if you're there, do you have any comments on the project labor agreement?
I hope my was coming through okay.
You are. Go ahead.
Great. My comments are just simple that I'm full support of the PLA. I think it's the right thing for this project, and I feel so strongly about it that I insisted on attending this meeting from as far away because to show my support for our community and the labor to build this project.
Okay, you're breaking up a bit, but you're done, and we thank you for that. So I'm definitely in favor of the project labor agreement. As you all know, construction costs are escalating, very quickly, 5, 6, 7, more % per year. We have a very aggressive schedule to get this library built, so we want some predictability in addition to the quality that skilled labor can provide. So we think this offers a lot of business value for the city, will help us control our costs, and it has these ancillary benefits of involving young people in apprenticeships, which you don't find many of anymore. And there's also an aspect that helps veterans too. The Labor Council does have a veterans program helping to identify people who might want to move into the construction industry, so I think that's a plus as well. So unless there are any additional comments, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the resolution. C-2016.
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the project labor agreement with the San Mateo County Building and Construction Trades Council and its affiliated local unions, HMBCC, for construction work on the Half Moon Bay Library project.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I would like a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Penrose.
Yes.
Councilmember Mueller.
Yes.
Councilmember Frazier.
Gladly, yes.
Vice Mayor Deborah Ruddock.
Yes.
And last but not least, Mayor Kowalczyk.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve project labor agreement proceeds unanimously. Thank you. We're moving on to item 3B, Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Side Recycled Water Project.
Good evening, Honorable Vice Mayor and council members and Honorable Mayor on the phone, if he's still with us. Angelique Gaeta, Interim Deputy City Manager. And with me this evening is our sewer engineer, Vivian Housen, who will help me with the presentation and answer any questions coming from the council. So just a little bit of background. In January of 2015, the Sewer Authority Mid-Coastside, the Coastside County Water District, and Montero Water and Sanitary District agreed to conduct a recycled water treatment facility, or construct at Sam's treatment plant, and to produce recycled water that could be distributed and sold by CCWD and Montero. Phase 1 of that project was to design a facility to, at a minimum, serve the Ocean Colony partners through CCWD service. And a little bit more background. In 2008, SAM actually issued a recycled water study that includes both microfiltration and reverse osmosis methods. In 2010, SAM requested a report from SRT Consultants regarding recycled water. The report did not include reverse osmosis as an option, and instead concluded that it was not financially viable due to the high capital and operation and maintenance costs. In 2016, SAM issued a request for proposals for a recycled water treatment facility at the SAM plant. And in response to that RFP, SRT submitted a proposal that did not include reverse osmosis as a treatment option. So if you'll recall, in April of 2016, 21st to be exact, the City Council took action and authorized its SAM representatives to solicit proposals for a business plan that actually did include reverse osmosis. Specifically, the Council requested that the business plan include capital costs for project at the SAM plant, as well as CCWD pumping and distribution facilities, annual operation and maintenance costs for SAM and CCWD, and costs to store recycled water at the SAM plant. The City Council also requested written confirmation from CCWD that they reviewed the business plan and agreed to proceed with the project following that review. And then finally, the council requested that different consultants actually put together the business plan. So since then, on August 15th of this year, CCWD and SAM Joint Recycled Water Committee held its meeting, and at that time they voted to have SAM request that SRT update its 2010 report to include 35 to 50% reverse osmosis blending, and to include all analyses that SRT had previously included in its February 2016 recycled water proposal. In response, on August 19th of this year, SRT submitted a letter proposal updating its 2010 report and stating that its February 2016 proposal had already addressed reverse osmosis at a cost of $82,046. Shortly thereafter, on August 22nd, the SAM board requested that SRT amend its February 2016 proposal to specifically and expressly include reverse osmosis. And in response, on August 26th, SRT submitted a second letter proposal updating its prior proposal by specifically including reverse osmosis at a cost of $330,076. And that cost is the full cost that includes all tasks as well as options set forth in the proposal that you have as your attachment to the staff report. And in going through that particular proposal, you'll see that task 1 is the alternative analysis, where SRT would go through the different alternatives that would be available for recycled water. Task 2 is the basis of design. And then task 3, 4, and 5 take you through the actual project construction. The optional tasks include, among other things, peer review, workshops, grant and loan funding applications, and public outreach. So at this time, staff is requesting some direction from our council regarding the execution of a consultant agreement with SRT for a basis of design for the recycled water project at the SAM plant at a cost to the city of $75,434. And just to clarify, that is actually 50% of the total cost for tasks 1 and 2, with task 2 including a board workshop. And the reason that we did that was because we wanted to request a check-in or a pause, if you will, at the completion of task 2 to let the members of SAM and CCWT, and Montera decide whether or not it's at this point a viable project to move forward with. We've also, as you'll see in our staff report, requested some other things in addition to the board workshop, specifically that the member agencies get an opportunity to review the Task 1 report before it moves forward, or before SRT moves forward with completion of Task 2, and that the SAM board be required to approve the report coming out of Task 2. And with that, the staff would turn it over to the council for any questions. And again, we have Vivian Housen here, our subject matter expert and sewer engineer, to help guide us through that process.
Thank you so much. Council members, I do have 3 speaker forms here, so why don't we start with the public. And the first one is Scott Boyd.
Good evening, Council. I'm Scott Boyd. I'm Director on the Montero Water and Sanitary District Board, and I have worked with each of you at the Sewer Authority Midco side. Good evening, and I'm just so glad that we're at this point where I can come say, yes, please, let's do this. We're all very eager to move ahead, and I just want to give you my full support. I am a little unclear, based on the wording of the staff report, if this is exactly what we talked about at the SAM meeting when we talked about doing the clarification on the request to SRT earlier in the year. I urge you to consider that so that when we all get together again and talk about that, we can work through this really quickly and move on to the, into implementation of the tasks. So thanks for bringing it to this point, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Catherine Slater-Carter.
Yes, good evening, council members. It's a pleasure to be in Half Moon Bay this evening on a wonderful evening. I want to thank the council and staff for moving this forward. It's been a long time coming in a lot of different ways. It's been almost 2 decades, I believe, and it was discussed, I think, even before that, but be that as it may, it's a pleasure to read the staff report, and I look forward to this moving forward with all possible haste. Thank you.
Last speaker is Harvey Rarbach.
Good evening, Council. Harvey Rarbach, 464 Pine Avenue. As a member of the Sierra Club and a citizen of this fragile earth, I am delighted to see this item on the agenda tonight. Water is a precious resource, and as we found out with the drought, as we found out with the cost of Hetch Hetchy water, as we're experiencing an increase in the cost of all this water, it's more important than ever that we get ways to conserve water. One way to do it is just to have water conservation, and on the coast we're doing a pretty good job there. But our water supply is at the end of the Hetch Hetchy pipeline. And God forbid, if something happens, there's an earthquake or the drought gets worse or Hetch Hetchy has issues, we're going to be in very serious trouble. So any mechanism that gets us to reduce our dependence upon Hetch Hetchy water is a good thing. And this recycled water project, especially including reverse osmosis, which is necessary, is a very, very good thing. So I applaud this effort to finally implement recycled water. I think it's good for the coast. I think it's good for the planet. So Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harvey. I'm going to bring it back to the council now for questions for staff or discussion.
Yeah, I would like to ask our professional staff, considering the investment in this project and the ratepayers of Half Moon Bay, I believe hopefully this is a good start for the process. It's just the beginning. It has a long way to go as we understand and read this. So are you comfortable for sure, other than in the staff report here, that we are beginning to move in the right direction for this treated water, which a number of communities and cities throughout the Bay Area are working towards? And if there's an opportunity for the SAM board and staff, I believe American Canyon's doing a good job out there with this, and some of the treatment methods are changing daily, I believe. So I just want to make sure that you're comfortable with the beginning here of the process that's been a long time coming, and to ensure that we are moving in the right investment direction.
So I'll comment on that. I feel very comfortable. I believe that the scope is the right scope. We've had, I think in the last 3 months especially, a lot of discussion involving Coastside County Water District and Ocean Colony Partners who will be using the water, and I really feel that the project that we're looking at in this scope is the project that they, if it is viable, is the project that they would want and use. And so to that end, I feel very comfortable moving forward with this aspect of the work.
And hopefully we will also have the quality of water to use on our agricultural commodities with what's limited agricultural land we have left in the city.
Anyone else? Mayor Kowalczyk, do you want to weigh in on this agreement?
I only want to say that I'm in support of it.
Councilmember Penrose or Fraser?
Yeah, I'm definitely in support of it. I think that it's a great opportunity for the 3 districts to work together to accomplish something that's been, as someone said, several decades in the making. It's been a lot of work. Montara, El Granada, Moss Beach have all done a tremendous amount of work trying to move this forward, and Half Moon Bay has done their share as well. And it looks like it's a great agreement and certainly gets us started, which is what we need to do. Instead of talking, let's do it.
And I'll certainly support this as well. I think there's still some questions to be asked with how will this get funded to do, but I think the important part is to start designing it, and it's critical that the golf course gets that water. It's a major economic piece for the city. You can't pick up and move a golf course elsewhere. It's where it is. So to keep that business that supports so many people going, I think it's important. And I do want to state too, I think that the whole entire Coastside community has done a wonderful job with conservation, from pulling up your lawns, and including the school district that have replaced so many of the playing fields with turf. I think we're all doing so much, and there's a finite amount that can be done. So the next piece is, where's the biggest piece of grass? And that clearly is the golf course. So anything we can do. And I'm glad that with Sam has CCWD at the table. We've got some agreement. I'm concerned where the money comes from this, so I think all the agencies will have to be very aggressive, because we don't want to put this on the backs of the ratepayers throughout the district. I know that was talked. And also, and maybe you can add to it, Vice Mayor Ruddock, that we are looking at whatever is the new technology, reverse osmosis, some things here that has been technologies that have been used and been successful, but I know we have very temperamental grass down here, and I hope that you're open to looking at other technologies as well.
Yeah, I'd like to say, so I support this proposal from staff. I think it's well thought out. I know we have struggled over it, both at SAM, the Recycled Water Committee, about how to move forward. And Half Moon Bay certainly has spent a little more time to try to get that level of accountability and comfort before, jumping in wholeheartedly. I do feel we're there. The most recent SRT proposal is good. It is somewhat cautious in that it doesn't offer to spend money on implementation until we reach a certain comfort level. Certainly, we're asking that we actually pause a little bit earlier in that process before, going forward with CEQA, for instance, and get some comfort from the single customer, the phase one, and some comfort from the public that they feel like the ratepayers, they feel like their money is well spent. So I'm enthusiastic about this. I can see us moving beyond task 2 as long as our single customer is comfortable in CCWD that they can transmit the water and use it at a reasonable cost. So I know we're being a little cautious here, but we think in the long run that'll pay us benefits. And I, for one, am anxious to get started and with SRT, and look forward to our discussion next Monday at the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast. I really would like to compliment and express my gratitude to staff for working through these issues for the last several months, and for Mayor Kowalczyk for rolling up his shirt sleeves as well. So I would recommend that the council get behind this and that we get going. So if someone would like to make a motion that sort of consolidates staff's recommendations, perhaps read them into the record so it's clear what it is we're doing, that would be very helpful.
Yes, I would like to move that we have staff execute a consultant agreement with SRT Consultants for 25% basis of design related to the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Recycled Water Project for a cost to the City of Half Moon Bay of $75,434.
Councilmember Penrose, would you be willing to read all of the tasks that are on page 6, just so we get those into the record?
Sure. If I can find them. Staff. Sure. That the city agreed to pay the sum of half the total costs for task 1, $51,805, and task 2, $87,432, as well as half the cost for the optional workshop at the end of task 2, $11,630, for a total of $75,434. That the SAM board and member agency staff, CCWD and OCP, be given an opportunity to review the task 1 analysis prior to SRT working on task 2. That the SAM board be required to approve the task 1 analysis and to approve SRT to move forward with the completion of task 2. That task 2 include a workshop during which SRT shall educate the SAM board and the community on SRT's analysis, as well as provide an opportunity for the board and the community to provide feedback. That SAM be required to conduct outreach to the community within SAM's service area so that the public is given ample notice of the meeting time, date, and location of the above workshop. That SRT be required to address all relevant feedback from the SAM board and the community in its task 2 report.
Is there a second for that motion?
I will second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sounds like we have none opposed. Motion carries unanimously. I do want to reiterate something that Councilmember Fraser said, and that is this technology is evolving. There may be the opportunity to consider additional technologies that would provide, cost benefits for the district and the customer and future customers that we may want to look at and bring back future recommendations. There may be optional tasks that we feel are appropriate, and we will come back and, ask for more money based on, the reasonableness of those. So to the public, that this is an evolving process. We're getting going now. It may change. I think it's incumbent upon SAM and member agencies to be transparent, to have information on the website so that the public can see where we are and how we're spending our money. So, thank you. We're going to close our meeting with a moment of silence in honor of Mark Andemar, the former owner of the Half Moon Bay Bakery, who passed away recently. Yes, we've lost a great soul, a really great part of Half Moon Bay history. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good. Rick? Okay. Good evening.
Adios.
Thank you.
Buenas noches.
See you soon.